Have you ever felt unexciting, bored with yourself, not a very interesting person? Of course you have, but you don't have to. You can change, become someone else, assume a new personality, get into role-playing. A lot of people do these days, and despite the fact that we on south of Watford are all terribly exciting people already, we thought we'd take a look. J.R. Tolkien's to blame, really. So many people enjoyed Lord of the Rings with its mythical world of heroes and wizards that they wanted to live there too. So the game makers obliged. You can play Rune Quest, in which you have to fight some dwarfs and trolls in the magical land of Glorantha, or you could play Chivalry and Sorcery, in which you have to, well, do much the same thing. And then there's Stormbringer and Powers and Perils and Lands of Adventures. You get the idea. And this is Dungeons and Dragons. In it, you join a group of adventurers exploring a monster-filled dungeon. It's the world's #1 fantasy game, and they're going to sell 40,000 this year in the UK alone. But why? When you open it, it doesn't look like an ordinary game at all. There's no board, there's no little plastic counters or hotels, just some funny-shaped dice and a book of rules. So what's the fascination?
Well, the main fascination about these, forget about all usual games like Monopoly and all that junk. You know, you can throw away your board, throw away your hotels, throw away everything that you really know beforehand, because we're not having a competitive game, because most games are like pretty predictable. You march around a board and you know much what's going to go on. Here, you are totally involved in your world of monsters and magic. You've got to imagine yourself in a world of monsters and magic. What kind of character do you want to be? Do you want to be a hero? Do you want to be a fighting man? Do you want to be a magic user? Do you want to be a cleric? You can be any of these things depending on certain abilities like strength, intelligence, constitution, dexterity, wisdom. So you build up this alter ego that's going to go on this fantastic journey. For example, you know, you're walking down this dungeon's corridor. Suddenly you come across a doorway and it's got a keep out sign written in blood in it, and you can hear scratching and sniffing sounds coming from the other side of the door, and there's a troll walking down the corridor towards you. What are you going to do, you know?
It does sound extremely complicated.
Yeah. Well, it is actually, if you're coming to it cold. I mean, look at the size of the rule book. I mean, there are literally things, but most of it's reference material, but it needs someone who actually knows what they're doing. So the best thing you can do really is just to have a game. That's the best way to understand it.
All right, lads, well, I'm game for a dungeon. What do we do first?
Well, first thing we've got to do is get ourselves a character. Now, I'm big and dumb in my game, so this is me, the big, because I like to kick open doors and smash everything inside.
That's your character,
that's
isn't
me,
it?
Yeah,
it's a perfect likeness. What's the name of it?
His name's Anvar the Face Splitter.
The Face Splitter?
Yeah.
All right, fine. And what are you?
Well, I like to use a magic user. Magic users have to use more intelligence than fighters.
But they can't split so many faces.
But they, yeah.
All right, so
you're use magic spells.
You're a wizard.
Son of Crew, the wizard. He's got a long history, Son of Crew.
Well, I'm small, bearded, clever, TV presenter. What does that suggest?
Well, that sounds a bit like a dwarf, but in Dungeons & Dragons, only females have got short beards. So all the male have got,
longer
big,
beards.
long things down.
All right, well, so female dwarfs have short beards. I'll be a woman dwarf.
Female dwarf.
Right on.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be a female dwarf. Let's start.
Before we can do that, the first thing we need is a dungeon master.
There's more to Dungeons and Dragons than just getting out the box. It takes hours and hours of preparation by the person who's running it. Albie, I believe I'm in the presence of a dungeon master here. Could you tell me what your rank means?
Well, in terms of the game, it means that when we play in my dungeon, I run the game. I control all the characters that the players aren't playing. I set up the whole adventure. I plan out the rooms of the dungeon that they're exploring. I note down what's in them. And anything that isn't one of the players' characters, I control.
So with Ian's mates playing the other adventurers, the game commenced.
We've got our own abilities. Yeah. Mine's usually, brute force and ignorance. This is good against all the undead monsters. And there's Steve with his magic use of spells.
And mine's just general dwarf power.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're a fighter.
Yeah,
right. I'm a fighter.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, so it's up to you to tell me what you're doing. There's a door at the end.
Yeah.
So we've got to decide what we're going to do. So we're playing roles. You've got to decide. You've got to imagine yourself in the shoes of your character. Well, if you want, you can
go and try
if you
the
want.
door, because it looks pretty boring up this corridor.
So I'm going to be an old female dwarf, right? Okay.
We'll be right behind
Well, I
you.
think we'll be backing you up.
No
But I'll
problem.
go through the door, all right?
Okay.
So,
Okay, well, you get the door, you've got to open
No,
it.
there you go. We don't know. You have. No, don't do that.
You've gone in.
I've gone in.
The door's slammed shut.
The door's slammed. No,
Behind you.
you told me I could sense a trap if I was a dwarf. So I thought I was.
Yeah, you can
there
sense
isn't a
it,
trap.
but you're stuck in the
So
room.
you've just stepped into the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can sense a trap.
All right. Okay, I can sense it.
Hang on, I'll tell you what happens. This is what
Oh,
you can.
I see.
This is what you see
We
in the
don't-
room.
We don't see anything.
I think
We're shouting.
You
all right there?
You in there?
You hear.
And do I shout and tell
You
them what's
hear the
going
sounds
on?
of fighting, and there are two female dwarves, absolutely identical, fighting each other.
Oh no, which is which?
Oh, I see.
And across the end of this room is a mirror. So if we have another dwarf, imagine they're absolutely identical,
Absolutely identical.
Yeah.
and they're in the middle of the room fighting here, and there's a mirror across there.
I try to detect to see if one of the characters is evil and the other one is good, since I know this.
You know me to be good.
So he cast his detect spell. What are you doing?
Watching the rear.
Oh, not
You're
sure.
watching the. You got a nice friendly wizard there.
Yeah. So,
There's just a mirror.
I
across
know
the end
a
of the
Mirror,
room.
a mirror. Oh,
I'm not allowed to say.
You can. You do whatever you're
Can I
doing.
shout and tell them what's happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can see what's happened.
Well, you can't. My reflection has jumped out of the mirror and is attacking me.
Simultaneously, two dwarves say that.
Yeah.
Aha! Damn, I
And then maybe,
don't
maybe I'll just come along and have a look. Maybe we should destroy the mirror, and maybe we'll destroy the reflection. How about that?
Can I nick his idea and instead of striking at my reflection, swing away and strike at the mirror?
Well, you can actually reach the mirror. You can run down to the mirror.
They're both going to do that.
I'm going to run... No, because the reflection is acting independently, or else it'd be just mirror fighting.
Yeah.
8 and a 3, 11.
No, it's just 8. But yeah, you smash the mirror,
I smashed the mirror.
and one of the dwarves fades away.
Hey.
Well, sensing no danger, I'm going to lead the party out.
What with all this chat, it's no wonder that exploring a really good dungeon can take months. Some players who've tried Alba's dungeons haven't seen daylight for years. So what was in store for this plucky little dwarf?
No,
A net drops from the ceiling
A net.
over you simultaneously.
What, like a hairnet?
No, a big heavy rope net. A secret door here opens up.
Secret door.
And
There's a lot of little people. And there's about 18 of these creatures charging off up the path, sort of dragging this trolley with the
Are you going to run after?
18 of them.
You've got to catch them. They're already kind of about sort of 30, 40 foot up.
Well, I've been captured by these little oiks here, and I've just been told I've been shipped off to a mine on another planet to work my life away in misery, and unless my friends here can come and rescue me. Apparently this sort of thing's happening all the time in D&D, and right across the country at the moment. There's elves in prison, stuffed up chimneys, dwarfs nailed to the floor, all sorts of disasters, and all waiting for a rescue. And I've also just been told that this game goes on for years sometimes, so I suppose I better just sit back and wait it out, really.
You hear some footsteps coming from this direction.
we'll run off down the corridor. Let's go.
Help!
Sorry, Ben. Goodbye.
Of course, if you get bored with waiting for your mates to come and rescue you, you can always play on your own with one of these solo role-playing books. The pirate draws his cutlass and advances towards you. Turn to page 25 if you want to fight, or page 16 if you want to run away. I think I'll turn to page 16. Of course, you don't have to be stuck with sword and sorcery. You can be a gangster, a gunslinger, a samurai warrior, a golden hero, Judge Dredd, or Doctor Who, James Bond, Mr. Spock. These games boldly go where no game has gone before. But meanwhile, back on Earth, role players still seem to hanker most after monsters and magic. It's number 1 on their shopping list.
Could I have 6 giant rats, please?
What do you want? Regular ones or the mega rats, the big ones?
Big ones, please.
Okay. We've only got 3. Is that right?
Yeah, that has to be, I suppose.
Okay. Got those.
And have you got any severed heads?
We've got human ones and goblin ones.
Can I have the human ones, please?
Okay.
How long have you been running this shop?
Just over 4 years now. Since beginning of 1980.
How's it changed over the years? How have the fans changed?
A lot. It's a lot more accessible now. In the beginning, it was the ultimate cult game. Dungeons & Dragons started this shop, basically.
Have you ever had somebody come in here who want to tell you about the death of their character and you've got to react like their mum died?
All the time. We call them frothers. And they do. They come in and they froth at the mouth about their adventures. And you sit there and it's great because, I mean, I have run a game myself and you know what they're talking about, but it's a bit like being told about a movie that you're not interested in seeing. And they'll come in and they'll tell you weekend after weekend, mostly Saturdays, they'll come in and they'll tell you what happened to their favourite character and you nod and, yeah, it's great. But you've heard it all before.
Well, my favourite character is Denrick's Deathblade. He's a Humanity Rune Lord priest. Well, the upshot of that is he's a fairly powerful character in the system. He's competent with any form of a sword or dagger. He's totally incompetent with anything else. Because he was gassed by Humact, that's the god whom he worships, that he was not to use any other weapon other than occult weapons, which are swords and daggers. He wears armour in 3 locations, on his head, chest and one arm, and again he was gassed by Humact not to wear it in all the other locations. But in return for these gasses I got various gifts also from Humact, like I raised my intelligence and I raised my con. So it made me a better character in some ways, but weakened me in others. I'm not a particularly wonderful person, but I enjoy playing someone else who's got different abilities than I have.
Is he married?
No, he's single at this stage.
Is there relationships in role-playing games?
Oh, yes, definitely. Well, one of my followers is cute and female and just shorter than I am.
So you're hoping for
There's only one reason why I acquired that follower.
But you play them both?
Oh, yes,
like playing with
definitely.
yourself, mate. Okay.
Fine.
Let's move on to the next page.
Then there's Mark, my last follower, Mark Widowmaker, with his sword, the Black Widower. Oh yes, Humaxis tend to give whimsical names to certain things, like Denrick's spirits are called Slice, Slash, Slay, Slew, Slain, Sever, and I can't think of a name for the last one. Denrick is a person of limited intelligence.
As you can see, it's tougher getting away from a frother in full flight than escaping from a dungeon full of slime suckers. But if you think the tabletop players go on a bit, there are certain people who really let their characters go to their heads. Twice a month, the transit van leaves London headed north for a castle called Treasure Trap.
I played the game, I enjoyed D&D, it's what started me with Treasure Trap, but it's never quite the same with D&D after you've been to Treasure Trap.
I am a Henge law warden. Henge have got to be very careful because they've been outlawed by the king, and there's only supposed to be 6 recognised Henge law wardens. If I put it about much, I'm very liable to get killed just because I'm a Henge law warden.
Do you have a rank, I believe?
Yes, War Chief.
War Chief of the tribe of barbarians.
That's right.
What are you now?
Now I'm a barbarian.
Do you have a name?
Yeah, Sinja.
Anything else? A title?
Well, Sinja Bugbear Slayer.
It is a character, it's not myself.
Yeah.
I assume the role of the elf in this case. And when I'm at Treasure Trap, the elf is reality. And you go down the dungeon fighting for your life. That character is fighting for his life. And to be fair, an elf would have pointed ears and I believe be dressed something like this. So I assume the complete role of that character.
It's very important while I'm doing it, yes. I can see the funny side, but as I'm actually playing my characters, I'll go in, I'll kill things, I'll do whatever's necessary for their survival and for their honour or whatever it is they're seeking.
You are a barbarian, you are fighting for your life. You want glory, fighting, honour is all that counts. Once you're down there, that is it.
Tell me, do you have a job or are you elf all the time?
My human counterpart does have a job.
And what does your human counterpart do for a living?
He works in a photographic press agency.
I presume you must have a living. What do you do?
I work for a civil engineering consultancy.
Even your voice changed?
Well, of course.
The half-orc doesn't work there.
I act out the part of a half-orc, but that's just an acting role.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm a different person, this is just a hobby.
You're telling me that when you leave home, you become the character, is that true?
Yes, you can start at the castle, but personally I leave myself behind, and start out with my character.
Well, from the doorstep of your home in London?
Yeah.
So not tread like that?
Yes.
Well, you travelled up like to the tube to get to our van and everything?
Yeah, in fact, to King's Cross, crossed London on the bus, and just come in character.
Dressed like that?
Yeah.
you get
funny looks.
That's all, funny looks.
So far, that's all.
When did you assume your costume?
Well, hang on. It's difficult to start because the guy I hired a transit from doesn't like me turning up with a costume. Gets very shirty. Didn't like it when I hit him. So I tend to change on the motorway service station.
Well, you pull in as the civil engineer, walk briskly to the toilets, and then emerge as a half-orc.
Yeah.
And you then go and have a donut and a cup of coffee.
Well, no, because my makeup tends to run if I do that.
There's no good sitting around a table in your cloak and your chain mail. Real fantasies need real castles, and you can't get much more real than this. It's very big, very solid, and I'm told the dungeons are very scary. This sophisticated game was thought up by King of the Castle, Peter Carey.
This started with the tabletop games. Everyone who plays the tabletop games, every individual one has said at some time, I'd love to do this just once and see what it's like, really do it instead of throwing dice for it and so on.
Well, there's no dice at Treasure Trap. The dungeon monsters have sponge clubs rubbed with yellow dye. They bash the adventurers, and the referee counts up the splodges after every fight to work out who's dead. Simple, but it doesn't seem very convincing.
We've had people sort of kill an orc and then stand on his fingers or something just to make sure he's dead. And of course the guy screams, so they start hitting him again. When it comes to searching them for treasure, again, they take their wristwatches and, trying to take rings off the fingers. Okay, if I break this finger, Rat. It's about a lot of things, isn't it? It's about different things to different people, really. To some people, it's escaping from a sort of monotonous life that they're leading. For others, it's a chance to do some acting, and for others, it's a chance to test themselves against things that they wouldn't normally meet.
I'm good. If it's for the peasants, my sword is with you. Oh, God.
Gats was supposed to go first. You took us away from me.
I did. Great now. What's wrong with you?
Some of them are doing it for the king, some for the country. I'm doing it for the peasants, and anyone who stayed up late enough to watch this. To the mill! But why the mill? Well, as far as I can make out, the royal grain supply has been threatened by a mob of unruly monsters, and it's our job to sort them out. I think. My leggings are falling down.
Don't touch any of my...
Where's the elf?
Where's the elf? He's protecting me.
No, come on, don't be so nasty.
You're with me, elf.
Oi, these are my bits of my house.
Yeah, you shut up! Detect magic in here.
No, don't detect any magic.
Magic in here, looks so silly.
Greetings.
Oh,
There's nothing to fight here. Hey, do you
Wait, now what are you doing? Now! No, don't do this! Now stop it! I'm gonna tell us all!
Kingsmill, you should be in Kingsmill. Now go on your way. Rocket nasty. If we hadn't killed the miller, he might tell us where the key was.
Exactly. Got a key? Wait. If he's the king's servant, maybe we should speak to him.
We have. Listen to the elf. He wants peace.
Yeah.
Who wants a piece of the elf?
Tell me.
Who's been killed?
That law warden. Let me cross by you, bloody hell.
Law warden!
He's dead.
Skeleton!
Maybe not.
There's a skeleton in there.
Yeah,
Two of them.
Well, having learned caution from my lesson at the board game, I'm going to go in last, but I suppose I better help out. Sally ho! Help! Come on, look!
I think he's dead.
Who was guarding your rear?
No warden!
Well, being game for a dungeon has done me no good at all because, well, I'm dead. I was killed in the miller's room by a nan. So there's nothing more for me to do now but to go up to the tavern, have a goblet of coffee and discuss old adventures with battle-scarred trolls. In the Castle Tavern, recently deceased adventurers can be sure of a sympathetic hearing from Diane.
You say, what happened? You say, oh, I went into this room and he just attacked me. I didn't stand a chance. And you say, oh yeah, do you want milk in your coffee? Yeah, oh God. I got hit 3 times before I could say anything. And it's just like that. And I shout to my assistant, beef burger and chips for this guy, he's just been killed. Just make it quick.
But if you really want to survive in the dungeons, you've got to practice your skills.
Shorties now, so they won't go to the fort.
Like Christine here. She's doing archery practice, the hard way. For her 21st birthday, she got a broadsword from her boyfriend Mike, and she needed it.
My character was killed. I've only ever had one character in the system. And in fact, Mike killed me. We had a duel. We used to.
Your boyfriend killed you?
Yeah, we had a duel. We had a sort of disagreement with one thing and another. We decided it was difficult to keep characters, so to kill our characters off, instead of just leaving them, we decided to have a duel because the guild we ran was a Viking guild. So we killed each other and died in combat, and so went to Valhalla.
I challenged Christine to a personal combat, a Viking home gang, which is an individual duel. We fought, and I then managed to kill Christine, and I turned around and attacked another Viking who cut me down basically because he was much stronger than me at that point. And we were then given a full Viking burial. Another Viking guild came out, carried us in to the armoury on shields and cremated us in true Viking fashion.
Come on, Keldrick.
I don't think it's up to me to go in there first, you know.
No, it's not.
I'm a bit scared. I'm an awfully big guy. Back you up. I can't play for it.
I will play it. Stop it.
Bloody cripple.
Steve, better take your hat off or we have to get your straw, I suppose. That was a pretty heavy-duty going over we saw you having in the room there. Are you hurt?
No, I mean, that is
Don't worry about it, that's just a tavern, you know.
Oh, that's not a hard fight at all. I mean, not at all. Mostly, if you go, you can get cuts, and if you fight basic, which are like beginners, you know, you get shield cuts, and some people lost their teeth. And
how important is this game to your life, Steve?
Well, it sort of gets you away from the everyday thing. I mean, you can come up here and you'll take on a new role, a new character, and you're like a different person, and you just go back to like normality. But while you're up here, you can sort of get rid of all this sort of aggression or whatever that crops up from normal life.
There's certainly no shortage of opportunities. Take Simon, or Tiger as he's known, and the tricky situations he's found himself in.
Demons. I've had a lot of trouble with demons. I remember one dungeon I went on. I was supposed to be the third person in the room, and one of the front rank guardians got paralysed, so I had to take his place. There were 2 demons in the room. I had to take one on my own. And a peculiar sword that I was using was sort of made of stone. I had to move it very slowly. Sort of 1, 2, like that. The demon was using its hands, bear hugged me. It took me about 5 minutes to kill it, and by the time I was finished, I was completely covered with dye all down my back. And I only just survived that. So I was had a lot of armour to protect me. It's bad, that one.
You can always volunteer to be a monster and kill adventurers, or be an assassin and bump off anyone who gets up your nose. John here enjoys a good assassination.
Yes, there was one yesterday, in fact, that was absolutely brilliant. Guy comes out of his tent, and he got a contract out on him, 1,000 stells. Just walked up behind him. Good evening, my man. Hand on shoulder. Take out garrote from pocket and pull. And he didn't know anything about it until he was dead. That was perfect, and that's just how it should be. Because with assassinations, there's two rules. You've got to do it clean, and you've got to do it without witnesses, and there were none, and it was clean.
We're all a little bit in hiding. We're all watching each other's backs.
By in hiding, do you call being in hiding wearing a Dayglow green wig?
Oh no, this is how I look. I mean, this is my everyday life appearance. I mean, outside there in the fantasy world where people delve into economics and, you know, going home to mother at the weekends, I mean, that sort of world is just fantasy. We read about it in storybooks.
We are actually married. We got married in March, but we haven't had time through the pressure, work pressure, to have a honeymoon. And the project that he's on is about to finish in 3 weeks' time, and we're going to have our honeymoon here. I mean, anybody can go to the Bahamas or the Fiji, you know. You're going to spend a week at Treasure Trap.
You enjoy being a demon?
Oh yeah, enjoy being evil in general.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Do you get into the characters in a big way when you're playing them?
Yeah, that's basically the idea of it. It's you find that most people's characters are an extension of their personality in some way, and putting forward that extension, people get very immersed in it and become. It's almost schizophrenic in a way.
Only one of these demons has the bottle which contains my long-lost spirit. So can these brave and cunning adventurers manage to pick the right one and rescue me?
Spirit of who? Of Ben. The Warden. Do something.
We are the demons of perhaps.
Maybe.
I see nothing I can do with these.
This is the spirit of Ben.
And the other is the spirit of whom?
Ben. No.
Death. Do you tell the truth?
No.
Do you tell the truth?
Yes.
Do you tell lies?
No.
Do you tell lies?
Yes.
Do you both know that one of you holds the spirit of Ben?
No. Yes. This is the spirit of Ben. No.
Fine. I will take this bottle. May I have leave to pick it up?
No. No. Yes. No. Yes. No.
I have this bottle.
Daylight.
Teleported.
No.
I think we may have the right bottle.
You think I have?
Yeah.
It's the wrong one. I could have done it myself.
We must go and find his body. We may be able to return it to...
Of course, being a weekend superhero is all very well, but there's a big problem. You have to return to the humdrum of the 9 to 5 or indeed the dole queue. But if you're a really good role player, that's okay, because you see, Monday to Friday is just pretend. Weekends is the real thing.